Special Moves podcast. This is episode 87. My name's Mike Williams. These guys are Jake Kulkowski and Liam McKelvey. Jake, did you just have a little laugh, a little giggle there while I was doing that? What happened?
Because I was drinking and I didn't want to start it off rude, so I was laughing at myself. Really, it was humility. I was showing some humility. Hey gamers, how are you doing?
Right, I thought it might be a humorous thought to share, but no, just some self. Oh, you got ducks on your mug. Jake's just drinking out of a duck mug.
Represent.
Nice.
The mystery. Who is Steve McKelvey? Continue.
Yeah, praise be to Steve. Listen, we've got a lot to talk about this week. We actually we have a little chat before the podcast every week, and just try and pull some stuff together, get the emails sorted and that sort of thing. And sort of started out to me like we had fuck all to talk about, but actually there is quite a lot of stuff that's been going on. Got some decent emails in our Dear Special Moves inbox. A couple of Hey Gamers rebels in there, but the rebellion will be crushed.
The resistance.
And there's lots of new games. A couple of standouts, especially for Liam. Coming up to talk about coming up in this week as well. So yeah, it's going to be decent. I feel it. I've had a haircut from a barber.
That's good.
Which is the first time that's happened in about how long's it been? 3 months?
Oh yeah, over 100 days. I know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you do the maths.
So I feel fresh. You know what I mean? I feel.
Yeah, you look it.
Good. Thanks.
For people that can't see, Mike looks good.
First time for everything, innit?
Yeah, and he was also sipping a coffee there. He wasn't, looking at me incredulously with his jaw on the floor.
So I don't know where to start, to be honest. I mean, I'll tell you what. My personal gaming week has been completely empty, to be honest. I've not played anything. I played a bit of Desperados after last week's podcast.
Yeah.
Desperados 3. And I got to tell you, it's fucking really good. I really like it. It's a stealth kind of tactics thing. We've mentioned it a few times. Blades of the Shogun, was it? That's what it's called. The other one.
Oh, yeah. Shadow Tactics.
Shadow Tactics, yeah.
Well, it is Shadow Tactics Blades of the Shogun, so it could have gone either way.
Okay. And Desperados is kind of a... from what I didn't play Shadow Tactics, but Desperados is kind of just a bit more detail and a bit more like quality of life things in terms of the actual gameplay. But it's got this really cool, like quiet versus loud choice that you make all the way through, and whether or not you actually shoot people or sneak around. And great characters, really good story. I'm surprised that I'm saying this because of the genre of the game, but it's really well directed. Like the pre-title thing is where the title Desperados title card comes up.
Oh yeah,
and he's a kid. One of the characters, a kid chucking a knife into a tree.
Yeah,
it's fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's just a really cool. There's really cool little moments in it.
There's a lot of polish to it, isn't there? Like it's very well thought out. Yeah.
Yeah, good but it's good storytelling. It's the best kind of storytelling you could probably achieve while staying in the genre.
While simultaneously encouraging save scumming. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It literally has a counter on the screen that says you haven't saved. For like 2 minutes. Do you maybe want to save? I'm having a good time playing that, and it feels like a good kind of sandbox as well. Like I feel like I want to go back to the levels that I've already done and just see what else I could have done. And there's loads of like optional objectives that you can. So, it's encouraging stealth. Obviously, you need to sneak around and kill your targets. A bit like it kind of reminds me of Hitman in the way that there's NPCs and shit like that. And, there's loads of different ways of doing things. And some of them are really like deliberately set up. Like, do you want to cut this? Like, or push a boulder over a cliff and crush a couple of dudes and, So I'm having a good time playing that, but I haven't played much of it. So I think I might do a bit more of that this afternoon. What have you guys been up to?
Well, I haven't really played much, to be honest. I've been getting ready. I've been channeling my energy in it, focusing my chi, getting ready, because like there's a lot on in the next couple of weeks and months, and there's also like a lot of decisions that I need to make about how to plan my time, and so I've been strategizing What I mean by that is, let me break it down for you real quick. All right? Yeah. What it is
it sounds like we're just going to talk about the future of the podcast here. Like we're going to be.
Yeah.
We need to tell you.
Liam, could you please bring up this quarter's P&L?
Of course.
No, I've got I don't know what it is, right? But I haven't played an MMO for ages. I think I might mention this last week, right? This isn't about Tibia, by the way, long-time listeners, don't worry. But for some reason, and I don't know, because all the odds are stacked against it, but I really like the look of New World. Don't know why.
Yeah.
Wasn't thinking of it.
You've said this a few times, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I don't know what it is. Someone recommended me having a look at it, and I was like, all right, I'll have a look. I'm in. Straight away, I'm in. So that's it. It launches in August, but you can play the beta if you've been accepted or you buy it to. I think if you buy any version of the game, you can play it in beta, which is in July. So I've been getting ready for that, and an MMO is a big time sink, so I've been spending a lot of time on that. And then also I've been looking at Ghost of Tsushima impressions. Kind of, did they come out this week? I've seen some, but I don't know how I've seen them.
Seen a lot of tweets and stuff like that, but I haven't.
Oh yeah, it was kind of the What kind of field is it that every game with a samurai sword takes place in? Because it looked like, and I saw somebody on Twitter perfectly capture the moment. Everyone was tweeting saying, "Guys, I've played it," but they weren't mentioning what game it was. And then somebody had said, "Guys, I've played it. Looking forward to sharing my thoughts." And it was Sekiro, because that first boss battle in Sekiro is in a white field with a sword. It's exactly the same. So it's I can't remember how I've seen some more impressions recently. Maybe it's just via tweets, but that's got my interest. But I'm kind of into Paper Mario. I really want that game. I'm really I played Paper Mario on the Wii, maybe Thousand Year Door. Was that on the Wii?
GameCube.
GameCube. Oh yeah, all right. It would have been GameCube.
There was Paper Mario on the Wii.
I played it. It definitely was the GameCube. I think the graphics of Paper Mario. I know it sounds a bit hypocritical, but because it's paper, and it's not pushing the system as hard as it can go. It kind of makes it a bit more timeless. Wind Waker. At the time, everyone was like, "Well, I remember me as a kid. I was like, what? Ocarina of Time looked like that on a GameCube. Yeah. It could look amazing, but you made it cart. But now, when you look at Ocarina of Time versus Wind Waker, and you look at Wind Waker versus even something like Skyward Sword, I think Wind Waker looks better. So I think with Paper Mario, having that art style, it's almost timeless.
Yeah, and, totally. That is I think a problem that there was really, in the late 90s, all them early 3D. I've said this before, all the early 3D games just don't look. They've just aged really badly, and which is why the Medieval remake and shit like that, and even when you go into PS2, Ratchet and Clank and stuff, those remakes look amazing because it's, you can really realize it in 3D. But if you go back a generation to SNES and that, a lot of that stuff still looks fucking great. Super Mario World looks amazing. So it's really definitely true.
Yep,
it does. And I have just as much fun with them. In fact, I have more fun, I think, with the non-mainline Mario games than especially the classic side-scrolling Mario games. Anyway, I love a 3D Mario special. Mario Odyssey was great, and I think I especially think Mario games do better in your head years later. Mario Sunshine, I remember playing that thinking it's good, but it's not as good as 64. But then over time, it's universally acclaimed, right? And it's the same with Mario Odyssey. Everyone loved it at the time, but I'm sure people were not probably putting it up there with 64. But now over time, and it's the same with all these Mario spin-offs. I played Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, and I really loved the idea of it. Played it, and it's just done well. So I know that Paper Mario is going to be a good one in the old the game bank, innit? You get me? So I've just been looking at games that are coming out and feeling very excited. And then I've been playing Kingdom Rush Vengeance on my iPad, which isn't even worth bringing up to the real gamers out there listening. So so I'm sorry that I haven't got much to bring to the table, but
what about you,
Mortal Shell only dropped yesterday, didn't it?
What have you been playing then?
So most of my time, I've just been sort of like going through the back catalogue on the PS4 because I've committed myself to not buying games unless it's like a new release that I absolutely have to have, like the Tsushimas and Last of Us of the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've just been going through all the PS4 games and I've got a chance to play. And most of my time is taken by Gravity Rush 2. And I think I was probably the 12th person in the world to play that game because no one bought it. And despite it being quite a good game. So it's a first party PS4 exclusive. The first Gravity Rush game was on the Vita and it got a remaster for PS4 made by Sony Japan Studio. So very, very first party. It's about as first party as you can get. But yeah, like... So you play as a girl called Kat, and she's got gravity powers, and you can fling yourself through the world. It's an open world, and it's like islands connected. You know, like when you see like a fantasy thing, like Avatar, the movie, not the TV show, where they've got like all the floating islands in the sky and that. That's what the world's kind of like. It's a bunch of sort of semi-connected islands with like cities built on top of them, just floating through the air, sort of thing.
Does it explain that away, or is it just like, don't worry about it? They're just floating. Don't worry about it.
Oh yeah, it does explain it away. There's gravity crystals that they're built on that keep them suspended.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. It's totally. I guess it's sort of post-apocalyptic in a way because there's like storms that rage every so often that like destroy settlements and stuff like that, and
that's like, pretty post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, and like they can like take people to other dimensions and stuff like that. So it is quite post-apocalyptic, which is that's the thing. It's like it's got some quite. It sounds quite heavy, but then it's got like a beautiful like hand-drawn looking art style where all the characters like cel shaded. All the music is like these really joyous jazzy numbers. You just can't help but feel like have a bit of a shimmy to the music, I guess. But
that's so cute. That's so cute.
Like on the surface, it is a very cute game because like the thing that gives you your gravity powers is a cat that looks like it's a galaxy sort of thing. You know, like you remember Men in Black where there was the cat that had the galaxy in its collar.
Yeah, Ryan's belt thing.
There's a cat, but it's like shaded like the galaxy. Like it's got stars in it and stuff. So it's like this extra dimensional cat, which is it sounds really cute. And then you learn it's made by the guy who created Silent Hill, which is a great thing. So but yeah, it's like it's a really fun game. I thought I did finish it. It got a bit repetitive with the side missions were very pretty much like fly over here, talk to this NPC, like go get an item for them, bring it back, talk to them. And then that was like the entire 20-minute mission was just like go in point A, point B, talk to someone, go somewhere else, talk to them again. Guess
the flying around gameplay is kind of, I guess, what they're just trying to facilitate that, aren't they? They're just you moving from A to B is meant to be, it's like Spider-Man or something. That's just part of the fun. Like the movement is part of the. I heard nothing but good things about this,
it's
loads of good things.
It's a bit of an unsung hero of the PS4 because it's like it got great reviews when it came out. It got like 8 and 9s across the board from like IGN, GameSpot, and all them. But yeah, it's a shame because like no one, just like barely anyone you talk to has played it, and Sony didn't really market it all that much. They just sort of like went, here it is, and put it out there. Didn't really give it much support outside of Japan, so not many people have really heard of it. But yeah, it's like if you're looking for a forgotten classic from the PS4 back library that isn't knack, Gravity Rush 2.
Yeah, it definitely. Because it was pretty early, wasn't it? It was pretty early in the PlayStation life cycle.
No, 2017 it came out.
2017.
2017?
Yeah, quite late.
I guess so. Okay, so it's about just over halfway through then, I guess, or halfway through. But
yeah, I think I remember Liam getting it because I remember I think it was one of the many burnt by buying a game. Then it goes on a deep sale, literally like 2 months after. I remember it being like dirt cheap by like Christmas of 2017, like 15 quid or something.
I think I waited for a sale for it, but then it literally it sat on my shelf for literally 3 years until I decided to play it.
what you said that you're trying to stop yourself from doing now.
Yeah.
Which is pushing you into playing your back catalogue games, which is probably a smart idea. And it's probably an easy decision to make as well, Liam, when you own most of the games, isn't it? It's like, well, I already fucking bought. How big's your backlog? How many games you got waiting?
On PS4 or across all platforms?
Yeah, across the board, man.
Across the board, it is over 100 easily.
Fuck.
Like, I've probably got...
We're talking Steam and that and everything.
Yeah, most of that'll be Steam, but I've got, like... On the PS3 alone, I've got, like, 50 digital RPGs that I bought when they were on, like, deep discount for, like, $1.99 a piece. That I bought when I was, like, a teenager and never had the time to play.
I guess you're in a bit of a weird position with stuff like that now, because it's like, you know, do you play the PS3 thing, or you might as well just wait, and they're probably going to remaster it in a couple of years. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it's like. Sorry, what you said?
I was going to say, like it's hard to tell because, like, especially like when they like resurrect like obscure JRPGs, like because that's the ones that seem to get remade on some sort of conveyor belt. Do you know what I mean? It's something with at least 5 words in the title. So, yeah, like I don't know, you like if you didn't wait for Ni no Kuni, you would have played it, and then this new one just came out. So
well, that's it. It's like I've had Persona 4 Golden on the Vita since it came out, and since then there's been literally a few weeks ago, a brand new PC version of it, which is like apparently the best way to play it. But then I still own the Vita, but I don't want to buy the PC version when I've got the Vita version that's sat there as well. So it's like, because then I'm literally just like throwing money away, I guess. But
it does hit a point where you've got to. Yeah, you've probably probably made a smart decision there. I think Liam, just kind of see fucking, you know, how much do I really want this? But it's totally true, because you can. Like Steam sales, especially, I think that's one of the originators of this. Like, buy it, even though you don't. Yeah, it's completely where you just kind of, you just end up buying games. Maybe you'll dip into it for like an hour or something and think, cool, I own that now, and then not play it again. Especially the kind of games I would buy, which is like RTS games and stuff, where it isn't about seeing the story through from beginning to end or whatever. You just kind of want to play it. And so I've got just shitloads of RTS games that I've just, you know, I can dip into when I want them, I guess. But I reckon Steam is probably
Humble bundles were bad for me as well.
Yeah, totally.
I remember I bought the Sonic Humble bundle, even though I'm not a particularly big fan of Sonic, but I bought it because it was like you could get all the Sonic games at that point on Steam for like a tenner. It was the average price at the time, and you got like 20 games or something from it. It was silly. And I've played actually no, I got them all because it worked out cheaper to get them all for Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed. That was the only one I actually wanted to play.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's pretty good.
It's a great game, yeah. But now I've got like Sonic Lost World, which is like, you know what? I don't even know what that one is, and it's just in my Steam library.
I want to ask you something personal, okay? Both of you, okay? Have you got any games that you've hidden on Steam, as in they don't appear on your Steam library? Because there's a hide game option.
Is there?
Yeah.
Well, no, I didn't even know it existed, so it's an easy no from me.
I haven't hidden any. I haven't hidden any games, but there's probably some like you remember like when sites used to do like the get a mystery game for like £1, and it was sort of like having a bit of a gamble. I got some like pretty shit ones from doing them sometimes that were like really like, you know, like Steam asset flip type shit that they were just. They were just like trying to offload keys to people. And it was more for the thrill of the gamble, I guess. But
that's what I was. It's that kind of shit, because I do have some that I think I've got about 20 odd games. That I've actually closed Steam to actually fucking do this podcast. So I should have opened it before I asked. But I can remember a few off the top of my head, right?
Yeah.
But some of them are because you'll get duplicate like games, so you'll get like
no, for sure.
State of Decay is one where I don't ever need to see State of Decay again because I've got State of Decay Game of the Year edition or whatever on there. So you just kind of you end up with like 2 State of Decays, and there's Company of Heroes and Men of War and all these kind of like RTS type games as well, especially ones like Liam says where you get in a bundle. You just get load of fucking you redeem the code in your Steam, and then there's like 10 different entries for
Company of Heroes
and all the different expansions.
I think I've got like some early Telltale stuff on there, like Sam and Max or something like that, where it's like all the episodes, and then there's also one for like the master file, which is all of them in one executable. So it's like,
exactly. You just don't need it.
Recently, I think at the beginning of the year, I downloaded Stone Shard, the beta, which then went into the full game.
Yeah,
but they're 2 separate things. So I do know what you mean. But...
and that's why that's what I've hidden. To be honest, they're just shit that I'm like, well, what is the reason for having that? There is no, and it's kind of amazes me that there's no like Steam backend. There's someone on the Steam backend who's like, well, listen, we've got this version of the game and this version of the game. This version is completely obsolete. Why is it even still there? Kind of thing.
There's like 5 speedrunners in the forums like, this is a travesty.
This is the true version of the game. Fucking
I guess it's preservation or whatever, but like at least it's an option. But the hidden Steam games.
It's honestly, have a look, mate. And it's good. It's therapeutic because you're like, because I went through it once and I was like, well, what the fuck is this? I'm not ever going to look at this again. Hide, get out of here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it does. I've got about 30 games that don't spark joy, and I put them in the fucking hidden bin, innit? The non-joy sparking bin.
Yeah.
So I recommend that to everyone who's listening. Tidy your fucking Steam library up. It's an option.
You heard it here
if it doesn't spark joy, get it out of here. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, let's talk about something a bit more contemporary, I guess. Mortal Shell, Jake, you mentioned that earlier.
Oh, shucks. I only mentioned it because I was mentioning... Well, no, I wasn't only mentioning it because I didn't play it, but I was going to just say that I would have had some nice details for you guys if the game didn't drop last night and we were recording this podcast in the morning, because I was kind of looking forward to this one. I'll be honest with you, I didn't have high hopes for it because it's a Souls-like game that was being made in secret. So Souls-like is normally a bit of a because nobody really figures it out. And I think that, a game being developed in secret, I don't know. It just seems weird. It seems a bit of a gimmick. But so the game's not even got a release date, I don't think, but they started giving just like random people access to the game. There was some, IGN, and then there was like Fextra Life, and normally it was a bit of a cross of like media and content creators. Mm-hmm. And I think they were probably quite surprised that people weren't tearing it to shreds because they've suddenly made the beta public. But so Fextra Life are like really well known for their Wikipedias on the Dark Souls games. I would probably argue that they're like, if you Google Dark Souls, they're probably in the front page, and most people have used the Fextra Life guide while playing Dark Souls. So they're pretty much a big voice in that. So I have a feeling if anyone was going to tear them a new arsehole about this game being shit, it would be them. And they are quite brutal. Like they did say The Last of Us 2 was just meh, right? Which wasn't even hate it or love it. So they were quite keen on it. And then I saw IGN looked pretty keen on it. There was like lots of gameplay, and it looked pretty good. So they've made the beta public for everybody. I think it's on Epic Games Store. And I'm going to... Liam's already downloaded it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to download it. I've got it. I've redeemed it. I just need to start downloading it and that. But I was just really going to just see... There will be people, especially if you sat through so many conversations about Dark Souls in our podcast, there will be people listening who are obviously Dark Souls fans. So I was just kind of wondering if people in the comment section could kind of let us know if it's worth a spin or not. Because to me, it looks pretty cool. But the combat looks pretty floaty. It looks a little bit like I don't know. It looks a little bit like Senua's Sacrifice. How the combat seems to have lots of leap attacky things and stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know, that razor sharp soulsy combat is kind of the one, right? But it looks like aesthetically, it looks really cool. I think it's got some
really dark, isn't it? Like literally kind of black almost.
Yeah,
visually, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah. That's it. They could have made an effort to make something like pop out or be vibrant or not just be like a dark cathedral, but no, it does look like it's kind of bleak on bleak. So I do think it looks cool. It's quite well stylized. They've got a good camera for it as well. The camera's like locked onto the back like God of War style.
Cool.
And I think the character models and stuff will all look really cool. But it's all this stuff is all about the gameplay. It's so easy to sell me on a dark fantasy game.
Yeah,
to be honest, because I'm just like I can never really get bored of it. But there are a lot of people. There's only so many skeletons you can bash in the face, isn't there? So I was just kind of wondering if anyone who's listening has got any thoughts on it, because I want to read it while I'm having a cup of coffee in a week before I play it.
Okay, so if you got any Mortal Shell thoughts, leave your comments or send us an email to dearspecialmoves@gmail.com. If you want to send us an email, the inbox is dearspecialmoves@gmail.com. We read them all and we pick out the ones that we want to talk about. Like this one, which is from Tom, who says, Dear Special Moves, hope you're keeping well. Cheers, Tom.
Yes.
Back at you. Yeah. I'm currently writing this, watching the most recent podcast with a nice cup of tea. I just realized that for weeks now, I have been emailing the wrong email address. You've missed out on some quality rants, let me tell you. No worries, Tom. I'm sure they were great. Anyway, since the whole COVID thing started, I've been really struggling to sit down at my monitor or TV and play some games. I've started a new job in working in the reception at my local A&E department, which is technically the busiest A&E department in the country. I don't want to mention any names, but it's been a positively horrible experience so far.
I love it if he did mention names. I don't want to mention any names. Doctor.
Yeah, Sharon. My colleagues are cruel and uncaring at the best of times, and with this job, you are really seeing people at their worst. Some of my best times at work are when it's quiet. It means less people are coming in, so that's good for everybody. And I get the chance to pull out a retro handheld or even my Switch. It's really made me appreciate the Nintendo Switch for its portability. After staring at a computer screen all night, the last thing I want to do when I get home is stare at my TV or monitor. And yet people still complain about the Switch and its ugly AAA ports. At the end of the day, though, if you're making the argument that you can play, let's say, The Witcher 3 far prettier on your PC or your console, then this port isn't aimed at you. You don't have to get it. But for me to be able to sit down with such a brilliant game in the palm of my hands at work, well, that's just something great, isn't it?
Imagining every single monster is Sharon.
Yeah.
As I butcher them.
Yeah. Anyway, hope you are all doing well during times. The podcast really is a highlight of my week. Talk soon, lads. All the best, Tom. Thanks, Tom. I'm really sorry that you don't enjoy your job.
Working in health during the biggest pandemic to affect our generation.
Yeah.
It can't be easy.
No.
I've got a lot, like, you know what I mean? I can't imagine it. So the Switch being a little ray of hope is interesting. The Witcher being the one game to pull you through the madness is an interesting choice.
Yeah.
But
it's a bang on point. If you're saying that the Witcher doesn't look good enough on Switch, then you're not the target audience. And I guess that's completely where I fall, because I loved The Witcher for some specific reasons, some of them which weren't getting fulfilled by the Switch port. So, and I was only playing it around the house anyway. I was taking it to work with me and stuff. So
you're playing it probably within arm's reach of your PS4 copy or a floor away from you.
Yeah, I literally could just look up at my telly and it would look better on that, So I was kind of, a good point. I think that certain games on the Switch are for people who want that like certain portable experience, which I think is totally fair. Are there any other big games that are ugly, that are considered ugly.
Well, one that I well, not considerably ugly, but like you do notice it with pretty much everything on there. But you do acclimatize to it quite quickly. I was away from home somewhere,
I guess,
and you'd kindly lent me Skyrim, which I played at launch, played the special edition or whatever they called it, played it on console, played it on PS3, PS4. And anyway, the Switch port is the worst one, right?
Yeah.
If you're talking that, but the joy of being away from your home with no Wi-Fi or whatever and playing it, you don't really care that it's a little, and especially when you play bow and arrow, you don't really care that it's a little bit off, do you? Because
I really thought you were going to say no wife. I don't know. It didn't make any sense. But you're away from home, no Wi-Fi.
No bloody wife, eh? Over your shoulder, telling you that
Yeah.
you just missed. No, it's like what it is about the Switch sometimes is like when you're playing away from home, anything missing from the ports are any hole left by like performance is filled by this first world warmth of I'm on a train, right? Traveling at X amount miles per hour, playing Skyrim. The world is a very weird place. Well, that's what I do anyway. I vibe off the weirdness of that. Like, I can be, up a mountain playing Skyrim. That's so weird. So especially if I had a job that I didn't like and it was like, and I was like in a cupboard hiding from people. Not that I'm saying Tom is hiding in the cupboard, but like, you know what I mean? If he was in the staff room and he can fucking go and hunt a witch, that's a better feeling, isn't it? Than well, if you're playing it at home, basically, you've got a lot of time to think about it, and optimization. But I think the big ones are Skyrim, obviously. Recently, we've had like a big influx of 2K games like BioShock and whatever.
Outer Worlds was on there, wasn't it? And that got a pretty rough time in terms of impressions on that, because I think someone said that it kind of basically compromises the experience, because you're landing on a planet and you're coming out of your spaceship and you're meant to be going, oh, where am I now? What alien planet is this? But instead you're going, what are all these cardboard cutouts everywhere of bushes and stuff.
If you watch a Digital Foundry video about Outer Worlds on the Switch, there's times where you'll be in the middle of combat and then the game will just pause to load while it loads in the next bit of scenery. I think that's probably I mean, it's cool that they managed to get it on the Switch, but at what cost is the sort of thing.
If you're no matter where you are or what situation you're playing it, if your game is freezing, not as part of a design or not as part of a loading screen or whatever, just that will really take you out of stuff. I think.
Yeah, totally. But you said it yourself, Jacob. It's a good point. You do notice it on everything, and it doesn't I noticed it on XCOM, and I noticed it on Divinity: Original Sin 2, and these games that aren't when I think of both those games, I don't think, God, they look great. Well, I do a little bit with Divinity actually, but that's not what the main. That's not the main kind of. Impression I have of it. But then when you do play it on the Switch, you kind of notice how just kind of fizzly everything is, and there's just this kind of aliasing everywhere and stuff, and it just, if you are sitting at home, it does you can't help but think, well, my PC is right there and it's a much better version of it that looks better and runs better and on a bigger screen and everything. But as soon as you take it outside, now that I know that I've got both of those games on my Switch, that fucking Switch is coming everywhere with me. Like, anytime I'm going to need to travel, I'm going to have those games available to play wherever I am, that's the benefit of it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and it can help you unwind in the middle of your job, not after your job or before your job, but in the middle, on your work break. Yeah, and that's nice. A nice bit of respite.
Totally. Cool email. Thanks, Tom. Best of luck with the rest of the job, I guess, innit?
With the rest of your life. Have a nice life.
Have a nice life, Tom. Stay safe. This is a short email from Stephen Beaufort Jones, who sounds like a Tory councillor.
Yep.
Stephen.
Again. We have so many MPs message us,
We do.
Your favourite MP's favourite podcast.
Yeah, that's a cool name, Stephen. That's very unique. Stephen says, "Dear Special Moves, your channel is so refreshing. with all the drama going on in the world, it's nice to watch 3 genuine mates just talking about games. Appreciate it. Cheers. I don't know why I put that in there. Yeah, that's the
YouTube comment.
Well, I think I read that and thought, that's nice, that's short, I'll put that in.
Your fucking dopamine was running wild, mate.
Just had a coffee, so I was feeling good. Stephen, thanks, mate. Thanks.
What can we say? Huh?
Well, thank you.
Do you know what? Yeah,
you're welcome.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm glad. I am glad. Our comment section is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it is nice. I only got rid of 2 comments this week, which is, about standard. And a lot of the time, it's people that just, like with The Last of Us 2, for example. I mean, I don't want to take the tone down or anything, but you got to remember that there are people just Googling The Last of Us 2 or going on YouTube with The Last of Us 2. They're not even watching the video and they're just commenting shit like, fuck you. That's it. So with The Last of Us 2, there's only 2 comments like that. Mm-hmm. And then last comment was just someone moaning that it was because we were talking about Mixer being shut down. Because it's not about games. They told me to shut the fuck up talking about my job all the time. I mean, it is my job. So
who the fuck said that?
I don't know, some guy, some blocked guy, some blocked nobody.
This is our fucking podcast, right?
Yeah.
We'll start talking about fucking basketball if we want to.
But the thing is that, I do feel like last week, and like Stephen's saying it, there's a lot of drama going around the world. I feel like, we do actively look at it, and like we decided before this that we could talk about Wreckful. Do you know what I mean? And stuff that's going on in the industry still, but I just think that, like, I don't know, when it comes to stuff like that as well, real life situations, you're just hearing someone's opinion that somebody, you don't want to hear my opinion on somebody. Yeah. I only spoke to Wreckful like 2 or 3 times. I don't know him, so it doesn't matter. So it's like you commenting about him, innit? So there's just no.
Are you pointing at me or?
I'm pointing at. Well, it's just the world, innit?
Oh.
You. But you
playing at me or Liam or
Yeah, well, I remember saying it. Like, that's the thing. I feel like especially when there's something like, basically, whenever there's something I think that really demands respect. Like it's just, like everyone likes to tweet when something happens, and I just feel like it's a bit. It's not disrespectful. There's no point.
I'm massively like that. I use Twitter a lot and I read it and but I've very extremely rarely tweet because it kind of doesn't make sense because I like reading what people say about stuff, but at the same time I kind of feel like, well, I have no fucking expertise or I have no reason to hold opinion on this thing because it doesn't affect me personally.
Rugby's not going on at the moment.
There's no rugby, so it's almost useless to me. It's kind of. Yeah, I just, and that kind of trickles through into the podcast a little bit, like you're saying. Like we talk, confidently about games and movies in the bonus podcast because just we've played loads of games. We've watched a lot of films, so we've got a lot to say about it, and that's kind of,
that's it. And I think, with my job being the industry stuff, it's like. I do speak about it sometimes from a professional standpoint, and I know that I appreciate that some people would listen and think like, "What the fuck do you know?" And I know it sounds big-headed, but the answer is, it's my job to know. But I do appreciate that it's kind of it can be a bit boring, and especially at the moment, it's not that it's not boring. It's just like there's just a lot of shit going on. But it's just it's a very weird time. This like every week, like so. Ubisoft Direct is going on next week, isn't it? But they're in the middle of this absolute massive fucking shuffle up because loads of their staff are cunts. So it's like, you know what I mean? What's no point talking about that, is there? But it's like, ooh, good luck to Ubisoft. But yeah, it's cool. I think my favorite thing about our podcast is that our comment section is nice to each other. It's funny. Loads of people argue in other people's comment sections. If you wrote something like that was just a fact, someone would reply saying, "No, it's fucking not." In our comment section, sometimes people argue about weird shit. But
I hate the internet. The any time there is a to talk, it's always an argument. Say you wanted to find out how to put some shelves up, right? You're like, I got some shelves here. I got a drill. Well, how do I put it up? Do you know what? I'll jump on Quora. Or some shit like that, right? and then you're like, you'll get someone who's trying to answer the question, and then underneath they'll be like, "What the fuck are you doing using that kind of drill bit?"
You know what?
You've got no sense.
It's
what
true.
are you doing on this website? And there's just loads of abuse, like just people calling each other idiots and shit.
Just yesterday, I saw a video. Yeah, I was trying to figure out how you can get like tandoori chicken without a tandoori oven. Yeah. So I was on a YouTube channel. I can't remember. I think her name might have been like Good Indian Girl or something like that. She was like this mother, cooks for a family every night. She's from India. The plot's in the title. When it came to stirring the chicken with the yogurt and spices, she used a spoon, not her hands. And the comment section was going mad. Like, I'd never trust. Like they were going really mad. Like, why the fuck would we trust a cook that's afraid to get their hands dirty? Can someone please explain why she thinks she's above using her hands? It's like, fucking hell, guys.
Yeah, the tone is, the baseline is just hostile. It's like you're coming in ready for an argument, right? But that's the point is that isn't true.
And I know this is going to... and this is the thing, like, if you are like that in our comment section, we just...
Well, you've already gone. We've already blocked you.
Yeah. And if you are a cunt, right, you've probably been shadow banned and don't realise. If you leave comments on all of our podcasts, it's always weird and moany, and no one ever likes it or no one ever comments on it, you're probably shadow banned because you're a dick. That's it, isn't it? So just be nice and just, I don't like a lot of things, innit? I just don't often comment on things I don't like, saying this is shit. I just go, all right. Do you know what I mean?
So I look forward to hear what everyone has to say about all of that we've just said. In the comments.
And if you're listening, Good Indian, there's nothing wrong with using the spoon for your cooking. Yeah. Thanks for the recipe, innit?
Don't
She's not watching. She's a 45-year-old Indian woman.
Okay. Shall we? You kind of touched on Ubisoft there, which in my notes, I've written they've got a game called Hypersoft. Ubisoft have got a new game on the horizon called Hypersoft. What's it actually called?
Hyperscape.
Hyperscape.
Yeah, sounding like an early 2000s, Internet Explorer rival.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It sounds like a Dreamweaver extension. Do you know, one of those kind of thing?
Hyperscape 7.1.
Yeah, exactly. Liam, have you looked
graphic when it loads up?
Have you looked at Hyperscape, Liam?
No, I've not seen much about it apart from it was released into the wild completely out of the blue, and the only way to get access to the technical alpha, is that what they're calling it, or whatever?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah,
but the only way the demo, the only way to get access to it is to watch people playing it on Twitch and hope you get a key dropped, like they did with Valorant. That's the only thing I know about it.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it's really early days. I can't remember if it was Thursday or Friday that this came out, but like one thing that I find interesting is how much they've banked on this all being around Twitch. Mike is an avid gamer. He does not watch Twitch. He didn't even know this game existed.
Nope. If
this was in Rock Paper Shotgun or whatnot, there's a high chance. So Mike is probably not the target audience for it, as he said earlier to us, right? Which is true, right? It is true. It's not really made for people who don't watch Twitch. No, but it's a very basically Hyperscape. It's a battle royale game by Ubisoft, by the way. It's a first-person game. But you don't, have. I don't know, I don't know if there was a need for it, but what they've done to make themselves different. This is the whole thing. Everything. Well, how is it different in this one? It's basically like a hero shooter, but just on a massive map. And when I say a hero shooter, I don't mean like Apex Legends. I mean, this is like, you look at it and if I told you that was Overwatch 2, that Overwatch game that's on the way, you'd probably believe me, right? It really does look quite similar. You don't drop in on a plane. I think you just start off in a random corner of the map each time, and there's objectives you can complete. But I think the point is the fact that this is another game that is just its entire like marketing plan seems to be encourage people to watch it on Twitch because it'll get the numbers up, it'll get the statistics up and stuff like that, which Riot Games did Legends of Runeterra, and then they did it with Valorant, which was Valorant on paper is the biggest game of the year bar none, and yet I don't think I've had a conversation with anybody about Valorant, and I don't know if
I would not know about it if it wasn't for you.
Right. Well, that's it, isn't it? And again, like just because Twitch is my homepage, so every morning it's there. But other than that, like I don't know if I would either. It's not the type of game that I would play really. It's like a bit hardcore, like CS:GO sort of stuff. And maybe that's the whole thing. Everybody who's well into it, when you're so into like a specific type of game that when you're not playing it, you're watching it on Twitch. That's what people are like with the CS:GOs of the world, isn't it? And so maybe that's it. But yeah, I just find it weird because Ubisoft are normally kind of, I don't know. I can't tell if they did have a bigger plan for this, but because there's all these, allegations and then things that are coming to light, and like the thing that was in the news about Ubisoft this week is that Egamo has done a big internal email saying, cut that shit out to everybody. That's become the story. So Hyperscape is just kind of, they're letting that creep in. And then maybe at Ubisoft Forward, they will start with the proper impressions from genuine media or something. But I just wanted to, I don't know, raise it because I want to hear people, again, I think it would be cool to see what people have got to say in the comments. Like, are the people, I feel like Mike not hearing about it is no love lost on either side, right? Because you don't give a shit, Mike, and they probably won't gain much from you because it's a free-to-play game, and
no chance in hell am I spending money.
Exactly, right?
I can help it.
Exactly. So they probably don't care, and neither do you. I wonder if there's people not heard of this game, and just by us talking about it, they think, "Oh, well, where's that come from?" So I'm interested, like, because I feel like putting all your eggs in one basket with Twitch does seem a bit. Don't know.
Yeah.
Bit of a
do
choice,
you know what strikes me? But just hearing you talk about it so much, it's just how fucking. It's like the games industry is like a group of kids playing football where where they all fucking just follow the ball around, and then so someone invents hero shooters, and someone invents battle royale games, and someone invents all these different types of things, and then everyone just does it. Everyone just goes, "Oh, look over there! They're doing that thing," and then they all rush to do the same thing, and they just like fucking.
That's just anything, though, isn't it? That music is the same,
but it's so. I think because in games, it's the labels are like clear. You just know in your head: hero shooter, battle royale, first-person shooter. You just know what these things mean, and then it just because that's how you experience the game. What those words mean affects how you play it.
Yeah,
you just know what you're in for. And then I guess it is true. I guess it's true in movies, it's true in TV and stuff. But in games, it's just I don't know what it is. It's
I know what you mean. It's because with a film, I guess you just sit and you watch it no matter what, right? And like that's it. You do fuck all the way through it. So the concept and like all that is everything. Whereas with games, the genre determines how you play it. So the story could be about zombies and the end of the world.
Yeah,
but your game could be a battle royale. So, like, because you've got this side as well. Like, I know what you mean because there's people chase the popular mechanics, right? And another thing as well, like, unlike music is like one guy, so he could put his own unique spin on it. But because, especially AAA games, it's like hundreds and hundreds of people, it kind of becomes very sterile, right? So,
totally.
I know what you're saying,
and with Ubisoft, like how big are Ubisoft? And they probably made the decision to start developing this game years ago, but they're such a fucking giant battleship that they have to it just takes forever to just adjust everything to, and they've got people who are working on Assassin's Creed and open world games and stuff, and they're kind of their ability to react quickly to stuff isn't.
And then it's about like people haven't got an appetite for Battle Royale because even though there was only pretty much a 2-year, 3-year lifespan of battle royale games. Really, if you assume that battle royales started when PUBG got big, because I know that it was H1Z1 and all that first, but if you assume PUBG kick-started it, when Fortnite started doing weekly content, and then you've got all these different, and then now you've got, I guess, the real king of battle royale at the moment is COD, right? COD Warzone, where there's this incremental content all the time. People gorge themselves on it, and they get sick of it. And it's like when you're a little kid and you got no chill, and you just have the same flavored Doritos, and then you're sick of them for life. You know what I mean? I'm sure that's very relatable to everyone listening.
That's our analysis for the week. Is there anything you guys want to talk about before we do the new games? Which there's quite a bit to talk about in the new games, but
no, I don't think
any
so.
other business?
No.
Cool. Right, new games then. So yeah, it's quite a packed week. We've got 5 or 6 here. We've got picked out. Spread out through the week as well, which is pretty cool. So the new games for this week start on the 7th of July, which is the Tuesday. Catherine Full Body is coming to Nintendo Switch. Do you guys know anything about this? It's quite an old game in my head, I feel like.
Yeah, I played it on PS3. I did. It's a puzzle game, puzzle/visual novel, I guess. Made by Atlas and the Persona dev team. And it's about a guy called Vincent who can't decide whether to split up with his girlfriend, who's called Catherine, for this new girl, who's also called Catherine. One's Catherine with a C, one's Catherine with a K. And the main gameplay is like sliding block puzzles, and you're climbing towers in like his nightmares. And you're getting chased by demon sheep, and you've got to like rescue other people who are also trapped in this like boyfriend purgatory. Yeah, it's very anime.
Boyfriend Purgatory is a great band name.
That would be a good band name.
Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
It's a cool, like, dreamy exploration of like all these feelings and stuff. It's one of those games where it's like it looks a bit too quirky for its own good, but I feel like if you played it, you'd probably vibe with it. I've got it on PS4 actually. I don't know why. Was it a free game or something? I don't know. But maybe...
No, the PS4 version is the full body version. There's Catherine Classic, which is on PC now, and that's just the original 360 PS3 version. And then there is Catherine Full Body, which is it's like been remade in a new engine. It's got additional content. You know, you like how Persona goes to Persona Royale and stuff like that, or Persona Royal even. That's what Catherine Full Body is, where it's got additional story content, new characters, new levels, new endings. Like, yeah, it's like an expanded re-release, I guess.
Cool. So that's out. Catherine Full Body out on the Nintendo Switch, and on the same day, 7th July, Superliminal, which is another kind of puzzly type game, which is out on the Switch, PS4. And Xbox One. Yeah,
so I remember, I want to say this got announced at the last Game Awards, and it was an Epic exclusive on PC. It's been out on PC for a while, and it's this like perspective-based puzzle game where you can pick up things, turn them around, and then it's like shrinks. And it's got a bit of a Stanley Parable vibe to it, from what I saw, but it's meant to be quite good.
Yeah, cool. It was announced then.
Crosscode is out on the 9th, which is kind of a weird date, I guess, because it's the Thursday. Crosscode on Nintendo Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. Kind of an action RPG type thing.
Yeah, it's an action RPG with beautiful pixel art. It looks like... Yeah, it looks like a SNES game, basically. It looks like A Link to the Past or Chrono Trigger. And it is... I've had it on PC for a while, because it's been out on PC for a while. It was in early access for quite a long time. And it had its full release, I want to say, last year sometime. And it's really good. It is like... It's so polished. It is content-rich. It is... the gameplay's great. There's a nice variety of, like, dungeons, combat, puzzles, like, full-on, RPG customization, like skill trees everywhere. It's great. It's a really good like throwback type game while also being its own thing at the same time.
Yeah. I think anything that looks like this, I immediately want it on a Switch. Anything with like these graphics, it's like, oh.
Yeah, it'll be good on the Switch, this.
And then ending the week on the 10th, we've got Deadly Premonition 2, a blessing in disguise on Nintendo
Happy birthday to Liam.
Game of the generation.
Which is, I'm not even going to finish my sentence, which is, I've got no idea. What is it, Liam?
Twin Peaks The Return, the game, isn't it, Liam?
Well, I guess so, but it's actually more inspired
survival
by...
horror, would you...
Well, the first one was a bit survival horror, but it's also got a bit of life sim to it, and a bit of just like detective adventure. So the first Deadly Premonition is obviously now famous for its unintentional hilarity, but then at the same time, if you play it, it's also got a lot of charm and heart to it, and it's actually a really endearing game, despite it being, on the surface, pretty much broken and barely works, but it's actually got a lot of charm to it. And so yeah, Deadly Premonition 2, I don't think anyone was going to guess this was going to happen, because it's just like, the first game was like this perfect storm of jank and really heartfelt storytelling.
Yeah.
And it seemed like impossible to reproduce Deadly Premonition, which, like Jake said, it was basically, the first Deadly Premonition was basically Twin Peaks, but what if someone tried to explain Twin Peaks to a Japanese man through Google Translate, and he had to make a game of it? That is basically what Deadly Premonition was.
Okay.
And it was fantastic. I love it. It's one of my favourite games of all time.
Yeah.
You're
feeling good. You're feeling good about this. You think they can actually, they can capture their magic again?
So that was a big concern for a lot of people. And originally, I wanted to go into it just blind. Like, I saw the announcement trailer at the Nintendo Direct, because it's Switch exclusive at the minute. And I wanted to go into it completely blind. But then a few days ago, or last week even, IGN put out a 17-minute gameplay video just showing off...
It's always 17. Why is it always 17?
It's always 17, yeah. So they put out this gameplay video, and the graphics were very low resolution. The frame rate was like 15 frames a second at best when you're outside in the open world. The sound mixing was like, the music was louder than the dialogue, and then the dialogue was cutting off before characters even finished speaking, and every single comment I saw about it was like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah. It's what the fans want.
Yeah, so it's
that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it's part sequel, part prequel. So you play as two characters in this one. You play as FBI agent Francis York Morgan, the OG, and you play as his first case, I think. So that's the prequel part, and then there's a sequel part. You play as a new FBI agent. Can't remember her name, sadly, but she's like picking up the pieces of like sort of the aftermath of the first game, and what happened to York and why he quit the FBI and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's cool. That's a cool name. That's a good name. And this is a kind of game that can get away with it. Francis York Morgan, but like Deacon St. John. It's like trying to actually
stop it. We'll get another influx of emails about it being the secret best game of the year, right? I'm looking forward. Good luck to Liam trying to give us a review of it next week, because it's going to be, how is he going to explain it away?
I'm so biased as well that I don't think I could give like an impartial thought of the game, because Sweary can do no wrong in my eyes. Sweary being the man who makes these games.
I think anybody that's expecting you to do a very impartial, unbiased review is in the wrong motherfucking neighborhood.
Let me tell you something. There's no such thing as an impartial review. That's fucking ridiculous.
All right, big philosophy coming out at the end, eh?
How this thing with games is like, oh, you need to be objective. Well, how do you expect me to fucking do that? I'm not an AI. I've had life experience. Anyway,
I can't wait for this game.
Nice one, Liam. Sorry to
call
that at the end there. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2 is out on the same day on PC, Switch, PS4, and Xbox One.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You guys interested in this?
I might pick it up later down the line. I played the first Curse of the Moon, which is it's not to be confused with Ritual of the Night, which is the one that was kickstarted, the one that was looked like Symphony of the Night, the Metroidvania one. It was I'm pretty sure the first Curse of the Moon was given to Kickstarter backers as like sorry, this game's taken so long to make. And it was like a little side game. And it was, it's all the Bloodstained characters, but put in a original like NES style Castlevania game. So it was like hard platforming, enemies that you have to like learn their patterns to beat. It was great. Like I played it on the Switch, the first Curse of the Moon, and it was really fun. It was like a nice throwback to old school Castlevania. So you sort of had, depending on who you are, you had both flavours of Castlevania from Bloodstained. So you could either, if you preferred the classic, you could have Curse of the Moon. If you preferred the more modern Metroid style, you had Ritual of the Night. It's great.
That's cool. That's a good week for you, Liam. That's a really good week for you, isn't it? That's, not bad. Not bad. There's also F1 2020, but it should surprise no one that we're not going to be...
Well, coincides with F1 restarting, I think is something that happened this weekend, actually.
Really?
Yeah,
really.
Just that my family's big into F1, and they follow it.
It's a great McKelvey household week, then, all in all.
Well, none of them are going to play the game. None of them. But, like, it's just like, it's a good timing to release it, I guess, with F1 season picking up again.
Yeah.
There you go. That's more info than I thought we would get on 2020. And lots of good thoughts about all the other games. If you've got any emails you want to send us, remember the address is dearspecialmoves@gmail.com. We will talk about anything that we want to talk about in those emails.
I was going to say, don't end it there.
Yeah, occasionally we'll just read out random answers as well, which happened today. We're about to do a bonus podcast, so if you're a patron, check out the Patreon page over the next week or so, where we'll have a bonus podcast. What are we going to talk about? Don't know. No idea. But
it's a mystery.
I'm sure it'll be good.
Yeah, I know what I want to talk about. We'll find out then. See you then. Whoa.
Goodbye.
See you next week, everyone. Bye.